completely honest, life really isn't a delusion. And happiness isn't really a delusion. I think that when you're happy, you're happy. But I think people can be happy as the result of a delusion. I mean, at least temporarily. Forget about happiness as some absolute thing in the world, but just as feeling that you have, even if it's just temporary, even if it's only for 10 minutes. It can be the result of delusion. But I'm actually going to go and off on a little bit of a tangent. This just because it's just thinking out loud more than anything else. But that's what my videos are on this particular channel that I put them on. They're just thinking out loud videos. I'm not. That's why I don't argue with people, because I'm not establishing something to be argued with. That's why I don't argue. I mean, it's not that I'm trying to be, I don't want to argue because I'm... No, it's not that. It's just that I don't feel like it. I'm not... And that's why when people kind of bait me into arguments, I kind of took the bait one time, and it was a mistake. Because the guy was just totally misunderstanding, and I think he was deliberately misunderstanding to bait me into a debate. And maybe that's why they call it a debate. Debate. He took debate so we can have a debate. The jury would disregard Mr. Lewis's testimony at this time. He took debate so we could get into a debate. But that's not the point. I'm not here to debate with anybody about anything, But sometimes people just say things. They know what you meant, and then they take it and throw a little twist at the end. So, like, if I really wanted to debate somebody, if I really wanted to lure a person into an argument, the best way to do it is listen to that person, understand what they were saying, but then deliberately twist it in such a way that you know you're going to get a reaction from them. But making it seem like what they're saying is the opposite of what they're actually saying. You do that, and then you can get into a fight with them. And some people, I think that there are people, it's like this Australian guy was talking about Richard Dawkins, and he was right. I like Richard Dawkins, by the way, but I think it's true, that Richard Dawkins likes to fight with people. He'll get on a show and he'll say something with the intent of inflaming a person. He'll say something with the intent deliberately to inflame that person's passions and get that person into... So, because he knows that once these people start talking, they're going to say... People, when they react with emotions, they're going to say all kind of stuff that's not going to be very coherent. Because basically, to be honest about it, a lot of what people believe isn't based on reasoning. Let's get real. It's not only religion, but politics and a whole bunch of other things too. People do things based on feelings. When we vote because we feel we like the candidate. He's the same race as we are. He's the same, whatever. He's the same party indefinitely, yeah. Look, I'm a party type person, when it comes to politicians. Somebody of my party, yeah, whatever. And he could say the same crazy stuff that the guy from the other party says. But, well, my guy is different because he's, about this and whatever. Yeah, you basically, we all kind of delude ourselves with this stuff. So once you kind of get somebody into that, yeah, there are little tricks to getting people into a fight. If they take it. If they don't, then you're out of business. You're out of business. Okay, this is not good. It's time to go. But anyway, until it rings again, I'm going to get out of here. The thing is that it's about delusions and being happy and how delusions play a role in happiness. I think that people, a lot of things, I'm a happy person. I think I'm happy. I'm better off than I would have been if it hadn't been for certain things. But it took some degree of delusion. But I think that to a certain extent, I'm going to say something a little bit crazy, that I think that you can actually have good delusions. But the problem is, a delusion at some point, it always runs into something. It runs into reality. And at that point, when you kind of run with the delusion and nothing opposes it, it's okay. You're free falling, so to speak. It's like when you fall. You might ask, can a person survive a fall, from a 100-story building, onto the concrete? Well, you can survive the fall. You just can't survive the landing. That's the thing, in life. Everybody can survive the fall. You just won't survive the landing. And in a certain sense, that's kind of how delusions work. Everything is okay until something comes up against that. You can believe that, like you can do anything, you can accomplish anything, you can get anything done, you can do whatever. Oh, well, I can do this in 2 weeks. Somebody was looking at my house, it's all messed up and dirty and everything. Oh, I can clean that in 2 weeks or 2 days. I can have it clean. Yeah, you can do it until I give you a broom and a mop and everything else and say go for it, and I'm gonna tam you. Yeah, then all of a sudden you ran smack dab into reality. As long as you avoid reality, your delusion's okay. You have to actually navigate around reality all the time. That's the problem with delusions. And I think to a certain extent, there is some truth to what Richard Dawkins says about delusions. Whenever people start trying to define God, then you kind of bring up things that are real. Like, okay, but what about this? And people will say, oh, everything in the Bible is true. Yeah, but what about this? And what about that? People have to kind of find a way they got to navigate. Otherwise, they're going to have what I always use that comparison that they talk about in the aviation world, the controlled flight into terrain. That term, when I first heard it, I thought it was interesting because it sounds weird, controlled flight into terrain. It's basically a situation when a pilot is flying an airplane. And, in that plane, they could think, in that moment, everything is okay. It's like, it's okay, everything is all right. And you don't realize it until, boom, all of a sudden the plane hits something there. You're in flaming wreckage everywhere. Because you didn't realize that something was really going on that you didn't notice. That maybe the plane was descending and you thought it was flying level. You think you're flying level. And especially when you don't have training and you don't have the IFR rating, the instrument flight rating thing, you don't pay attention to the instruments which are telling you what's really going on. And you're just going basically on what you're feeling. You feel like a plane is level, therefore it's level, everything is okay. In life, people do that. They think everything is okay. Your religion tells you you can't have a blood transfusion. Yeah, it's okay. God wants it that way. God will protect us. God will be, until suddenly you have a situation, a crisis come up, and you have to make a life or death decision. Then you're running into reality. And if you make the decision that, well, no, I'm not going to give my child a blood transfusion, your child dies, then what? Well, you can say, well, he's with God. He's with God. Yeah, as long as you keep steering away from reality and steering away from facing it, you're okay with the delusion. The delusion works for you. But you must constantly be on guard for realities. You have to, because like a plane has to be on guard for mountains and stuff. If you're flying in the fog and you don't know what you're doing and you don't know where you are and you don't know that there are 12,000-foot mountains here and you're flying at 10,000 feet, you're going to have an accident. You're going to run into something. You're going to run into reality. And every so often, people with delusional run into reality and it creates cognitive dissonance. That's what happens. It becomes the controlled flight into terrain situation where you don't realize that you were about to hit something because you're living in a world that isn't the world, that isn't a world of reality. It's a world of, you just made that stuff up.